Did you create the original contract when you made the offer?
Yes.
So why didn't you use the rendering that you got on the August 5th email?
Because we didn't have a full spec sheet. It was just a picture of the front of the building.
But you could have taken that rendering and just put it right on that spec sheet because you created it.
But it wasn't on the MLS listing.
I understand, but I mean, you could edit it. You know, you could do those things, correct? You could have done that, correct?
Well, I can't edit somebody else's listing. What they're providing for me is what we're intending to purchase.
So Matt put that together, is what you're saying?
The MLS listing?
Yeah. So it had the older version?
Yes.
So you didn't think it was wise to add an addendum, let's say, with the new picture and the new square footage?
We had, at that point, requested a new scope of work. We had been informed that the prior buyer had made the changes, and we were waiting.
So that was a month later, though, correct?
That we finally got it?
No, that you requested it.
No, we requested it early on.
So why not have it included? Why sign a contract for a 1,900 square foot home if that's not what you were signing up for? Why not include it with the sale? I mean, you clearly have a lot of experience. Wouldn't it make sense to do that?
Because I had nothing to include at that point. All I had was a picture.
You had a picture, and you could have said 2,000 some odd square feet, correct?
But if we're gonna write addendums saying that we're specifying certain things, we want to know what's being specified.
So you're trying to say that you intentionally signed a contract for less square footage in a smaller house and didn't make any mention of a larger house and larger square footage? That was intentional?
The increase in price from the 375 to the 385 was to account for the changes that were being made.
But you intentionally didn't include it in the contract?
We didn't have it to include in the contract.
Well, you just said you had the August 5th email rendering, and you knew what the square footage, right?
But that's not a scope of work. That's nothing that we could give to an appraiser to determine any value.
You're trying to state that those upgrades were included in the original purchase and sale. If they were included, why not? You could have easily done it. You could have easily included them. You could have easily said that fourth bedroom needs to be done. I mean, wouldn't it make sense to do that?
Yes.
Let me direct you to the purchase and sale page. Number 18 is prior statements. Any representation of statements and agreements are not valid unless contained herein. This agreement completely expresses the obligation of the parties and may only be amended in writing, signed by both parties. So if you look at the spec sheet that was attached, it's not signed, it's not initialed, and it's not numbered. I mean, you created it, correct? Mm-hmm. At the end, the last page, there is a signature by me and initials by Drew and Janet. There's no initials or numbering on any of the pages other than the last page has initials and the signature.
Well, yeah, so that would be acknowledging that they read and approved the whole document.
These other pages, they're not signed, so why would they be included in the contract if they're not signed or initialed or anything? All the other pages are initialed. Shouldn't they be initialed too?
So when we do a purchase and sale agreement, we'll take the information that your agent has posted on the MLS. If there's a signature block, like on a purchase and sale agreement where these forms are pre-prepared, we don't prepare these forms. We fill those in. Any other document, we will put initials or signature pages on the last page of it.
But you don't number them? You don't indicate that they're a part of it?
We don't.
So paragraph 18 states that unless it's signed and agreed to by both parties, it's not contained herein. So shouldn't those be at least initialed or acknowledged?
I'm not really understanding this. It is signed. The last page is.
The last page, but that's just that page. So that page counts, but the other pages, I mean, they're not signed. They're not initialed.
So if we
they're not numbered.
If we went back to the MLS listing, this is an individual document that's attached to the MLS listing. So
I get what you're saying, but it's a contract. So in the contract, and Matt put that together, not myself. So I never signed that. I never initialed it. I signed the last page. I agreed to the last page. I didn't necessarily agree to the other pages. And in the contract, it states that unless it's signed, it's not included. I mean, shouldn't those have initials?
That's not how we do them.
Never. They never have initials.
We never initial every page. I mean, it's expected to close November 12th, 2020.
Did that happen?
Did not.
Was it close to happening?
No.
Why not?
The bill just wasn't moving forward very quickly.
What was happening?
Nothing was getting done. It was just kind of paused at that point.
You stated that in August, September, November, like no work was getting done.
Not a lot of work.
Not a lot of work. Okay. So that's from, I believe it's when you met at the house that day in August, just before we signed, like a day or two or three before we signed the contract. That's what the house looked like. If you look at, I think this exhibit, the appraisal that you guys discussed earlier, in September, there's a picture where the front porch, and you identified the front porch, farmer's porch being built. Plaintiff's exhibit 5, as you can see, and this is in mid-September, about a month later, you're going to see front porch being framed, courts going on there. I mean, quite a substantial amount of work being done. And that's just a month later. Roof's all on, roof wasn't even framed, I think, on that one. I mean, it's substantial, for one person, it's a substantial amount of work. Would that be fair to say? That there's a substantial amount of work had been done in that 1 month. I mean, that picture is from when we met in mid-August, and then a month later, you got the roof completely done, you know, the court's on, front porch framed, windows in. I mean, that's a lot of work for one person in 1 month. I mean, you know. So, I mean, you were saying nothing was being done, and these two pictures show that quite a bit was being done.
I was saying, you know, given the original timeline of this being done.
No, I understand, yeah. In September, when you prepared the updated spec sheet, a month later or whatnot, apparently Matt sent it to you, you prepared it and then sent it to me, correct?
Prepared the spec sheet.
No, the second contract, the updated spec sheet.
I prepared the spec sheet.
Where are the copies of these exhibits?
I've sent you all of them through the email.
When?
What do you mean?
You
have every single one of these.
That are marked like this?
You have every single one of these.
Not marked like this? So I object these.
I will remark
what these
that
documents are.
correctly. Did I sign the contract that Drew signed in September? Did I sign that?
Contract you signed.
The updated spec sheet one, yes.
You did not.
I did not sign it. He talks a lot about it, right? I never signed it, correct? So I shouldn't be bound by it. What's your opinion on why I didn't sign it?
Objection. Calls for legal. Calls for speculation.
Objection's overruled.
What was your belief of why I didn't sign it in September?
What was my belief that you didn't sign the updated
Yeah.
spec sheet in September because we couldn't nail you down for anything. Your phone was dead 3/4 of the time. I mean, let's be real.
You were there daily, so you couldn't pin me down.
I can't have you sign things. I don't represent you. I never represented you.
There was pretty muddy waters. I mean, you were there constantly directing me to do things. So, I mean, you say that you can't represent me, but yet you certainly directed me to do a lot of things. You're definitely a very dominant person, and you definitely know how to play things. And so your testimony is that you don't know why I didn't sign it. You couldn't pin me down. My phone was off, even though you were there daily, or a couple times a week, let's say.
Even if I was there a couple times a week, I can't force you to sign anything. I can't counsel you or advise you to sign
But you
anything.
never asked me to.
It's not my side of the transaction.
I have text messages that I'll point to there. You asked me to sign extensions. You asked me to sign things.
If I was directed by your agent to talk to you about it, then I would.
Well, hold on. You proposed an addendums. The addendums that have been admitted in evidence that you've testified about. How did those come?
The extensions?
Yes. With the extensions, addendum that allows Pierce to move in, how did those come?
So I'd prepare those, I would send them to his agent, and then his agent would present them to him. If he signed them, then they'd be part of the transaction.
So did that ever happen with what has been referenced as the corrected spec sheet?
Did whatever happened.
Was there a proposed addendum to reflect that the contract was intended to include as the scope of work what's outlined in the corrected spec sheet? Was there ever an addendum proposed to Mr. Rinaldi to reflect the corrected spec sheet?
The only thing that I can think of that we'd have, I don't know if it's in this, is the new construction addendum, which would allow the buyer and the seller each a certain amount of days to review the plans and review zoning and that sort of thing.
But the corrected spec sheet, as you've referenced it, that came out of, that was presented from your testimony more than 5 days after the original.
It was.
So my question is, was there ever an addendum to the initial purchase and sale agreement to reflect that the sale price was intended to reflect the work in the, what you've referred to as the corrected spec sheet?
No.
Now, the 11 a.m. meeting on the 5th, were you aware of that meeting?
With who?
Lincoln Capital, Matt, and myself.
I was aware that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, okay. Matt, I mean, I believe there's a text where you check in on the progress or something like that. Is that correct? Leaving that meeting, what was your understanding of what happened at that meeting? Or what was discussed and what was offered or whatever?
I don't really recall.
So when you finished after that meeting and we were trying to make a closing happen, you don't know what I was told or what I was offered?
I don't know.
I got a text, I believe it's exhibit number 6, exhibit F, line 6. You said, because the scope of the work didn't specify the drywall specifically, just said garage to be prime. And then the back road. Now, you wanted those added to that new contract, correct? The easement to the back road?
Yes.
Now, you would think there would be consideration for that additional option, correct?
I don't remember if that's something the lender was requesting, but the right-of-way from that back road was in the deed. So the right of way to get to the back, right?
Yeah.
The road we were using.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
Okay, So
So-
you had the lot before.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
turn in past the house.
Yeah.
And then to access this lot was
Yeah.
the same road.
Yeah, so Matt says just before you're on this text, sending you an addendum for the easement to the back road. So he's trying to get me to sign and to agree to an easement, to have that right.
I think we just needed to document it for the lender, but.
Yeah, to me to agree to it, yes, for the deed to say it, correct.
But
Yeah, but no consideration was offered for that, correct?
I am not aware of it.
Okay, and then you said because the scope of the work, I go, why is the garage part of it? That's already done. And you said because the scope of the work didn't specify the garage. Now, you did direct me to drywall the interior of the garage, correct?
I directly use drywall the garage?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there has to be drywall, 2 layers drywall as a firewall between
Yeah.
the house and the garage.
You didn't direct me to drywall the whole garage.
No, then it said that, I believe it said.
So there's no text between me and you?
I have no idea.
I say, please change it back, road only. I would have been better off doing renovations in the past. Hold on. Anyways, you go, because that was signed by Drew back in September. I'm not going to rewrite everything for no reason. Prior to March 4th, you said that there was no, I never demanded anything for escrow or anything along those lines.
Correct.
Yeah, what you testified to, okay. Now, you and Matt are obviously pretty close, I would assume. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I worked at this company.
But you guys were communicating at this time?
Yeah.
On the same page. On March, I believe, 3rd or 4th, you met with Lincoln Capital and Matt, in my bank, Lincoln Capital, correct?
I have never met with
No,
them.
not Matt, a phone call. You had a phone call, I believe. The day prior to
I
the...
was actually not part of that phone call.
Oh, you didn't end up?
I wasn't invited to it.
You mentioned with the lender, I can see here in Exhibit R, you say to him, and technically the base coat is there, just not the finish coat. What did you mean by that?
That the gravel's down.
It's a gravel. And with Matt's, you say, Exhibit R, page 4, I believe this is Matt saying, technically, it's not in the contract, just base coat. Is that indicating that?
So, yeah, I think that was Matt.
What was your interpretation of what he was saying to you? When he's saying technically it's not in the contract, is he implying that the paving, like I wasn't obligated to pay that? Okay. So you didn't really know why he said that? Several texts that I offered to give you till Monday. You said that's not possible. We just signed a 1-day extension. We could have signed a 3-day extension, certainly, right?
Probably could have.
Yeah, well, because you testified that the contract was over, there was nothing we could do. But why didn't you sign a 3-day? Why didn't you want to discuss it on Monday?
Well, it wasn't really up to me at that point. So the lenders had prepared the docs, the title company was already there.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been more than just, just a, hey, we're getting to closing date, we need to extend this. At that point, I can't schedule all of that. I don't know if they're available.
So
It's more
your
it's more
your
like-
testimony is that you can't extend it? Is that your testimony?
We could extend the contract.
Yeah, so why did you, when I offered to give you till Monday and discuss it, let things cool off and discuss it Monday, why did you not want to do that?
I don't think it was ultimately up to me.
So was it up to Matt? I mean, you guys are negotiating.
Up to between you and the buyer.
Yeah, but I'm talking to, well, really I'm talking to you, I should have been talking to Matt, but I'm discussing with you, I'm saying I'll give you till Monday, and your response is, the contracts, I believe, if I get the messages, or something along the lines is, the contract's off Monday or something like that, so. It just seems odd that if you guys were willing to work with me, why wouldn't you just wait till Monday, hear me out, try to work it out?
Right, and that may have been hearsay, but there's no objection to it.
I understand.
So,
But it is a business record, and it is proving prior statements inconsistent, which are both exceptions to hearsay.
well, why don't you show the record to the witness and ask him what you're going to ask him, and I'm going to
Yeah.
defer any ruling.
Okay, he
Because
did.
You may be able to show him,
Yeah.
you may be able to ask him about it without it being admitted. So show it to the
Okay.
witness and then ask the question.
He did acknowledge that it is authentic, it's their exchange.
Just show it to the witness and then
Yeah.
ask whatever question you want to ask.
He says to you, Mayor,
Yes, you may. In the,
and I want to stress the importance of this because
it's just show him the document and ask the question.
so there you say, technically, the base coat is there, just not the finished coat. And then he says, can't be removed if we're closing today, which kind of, I would say, maybe implies that maybe the following day or Monday is what my question is, in your affidavit, which we will get to and I will admit, you state that, the base coat wasn't there, but here you're saying technically the base coat is there.
The gravel was there. I think that we need to be aware of what all of us were talking about at that point. So I remember, and I can't remember who it was that came out there with an excavator, and it went from a mound of dirt that we couldn't even walk over to a driveway appearing thing, and then gravel was brought in. I would agree that gravel is a base coat.
Okay. Do you agree, because you said it couldn't be removed from escrow, would you agree Monday it potentially could have been? Because I mean, he's saying it just can't be done today.
He says
Objection,
he can't
calls
remove
for
that from the
speculation.
escrow.
What's that?
He says, right here, he says he can't remove that from the escrow holdback.
If we're closing today.
It says can't change anything if we're closing today.
Yeah.
So
The objection's overruled, you can answer.
is the question,
My question is, so your testimony earlier was that it can't be removed, whatnot, or it couldn't be removed. But I mean, from that message between you and him, it's pretty clear that, you know, it could have been removed, just not that same day.
it might have been able to be removed, but
The following Monday, if you guys agreed to meet.
so we wouldn't have, the lender doesn't approve it. This goes back to the appraisal.
No, I understand. I understand. Things have to be done that way. I'm just saying, but between us, you know, I mean, you guys were asking them. They said not today, but I mean, you could have said, well, can you get it done for Monday? But you guys chose not to do that, correct?
Again, it's not really something I can change. If
Well, the negotiations are happening. I mean, clearly, obviously, that's how things work. You know, I mean,
it wouldn't have been Monday. You know, I mean, if we
What's that?
It wouldn't have been Monday.
well, it could have been Tuesday. I don't know, but I'm just saying, you know, you guys chose not to try to honor what we were trying to pull off, and decided against that versus you tried to get it removed, it just couldn't be removed today. I'm trying to understand why you didn't want to wait till Monday. We just did a day extension. We've done a 3 or 4 day extension. You know, why you wouldn't just wait till, you know, have it removed and then everyone closes, you know.
But this isn't saying that we absolutely could have had it. We can request that it's removed, which
I
would trigger
understand.
another whole appraisal.
No, I understand. I get all that, but I'm just saying, like, you guys, I mean, it seems like you guys chose not to wait, just we're done. Is that fair to say, or?
Yes.